Hello, my name is Sam Felton and welcome to Expert Interviews here on Smash the Fat. For you today, it's my pleasure to introduce co-author and chef of the Real Meal Revolution alongside Professor Tim Noakes and Sally and Creed. It's Jonno Proudfoot. How's it going, Jonno?
Hey, Sam. Thanks very much for having me. Good to be
here. My pleasure, mate. Finally, we got here. We had a few technical difficulties, but it's all good now. It's all good. And just before we get into today, I just wanted to let all the viewers and listeners know that this is actually going to be our last interview until September. So throughout, unfortunately, the entire of August, we will not be having any interviews until September, where we do have another very special guest to come on the show. That doesn't go on too many podcasts. I don't want to spoil it, but look out for that in the next few weeks as it appears on the blog. Anyway, I'm getting back to you, Jonno. So for those that don't know, Jonno is the co-author of The Real Meal Revolution, which has been a runaway success in South Africa. It caused mass of controversy over there. It's kind of like, it's turning into a civil war almost over there, isn't it, Jonno? But kind of before we get into how The Real Meal Revolution came about and what its success that it's having at the moment in South Africa, and today is launch day here in the UK. So if you want to grab a copy, go across to Amazon, and you can do that by going to smashthefat.com/RMRUK. That will take you straight through to the buy page on Amazon and help support the show at the same time. So before we get into all that, Jonno, how exactly did you get into health and fitness, kind of being a chef?
Yeah, it's a long story, but I'll keep it brief. Basically, so I left school and became a chef, and the chefing industry, I don't know if you know, it's pretty tough. And,
is it? Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it's hard work, and it doesn't pay very well. And I was always very interested in business, but I came from a very sporty school. And I always had a dream to be involved in high octane food, and I wanted to develop recipes for professional sportsmen, and that was kind of where I saw my future going. But I left the food industry and I started studying, and I did a BCom in accounting and sort of got into business. And then after a few years, I kind of decided, okay, now I want to go and pursue my passion again. And around about the same time, it all kind of happened at once. My friend and I, because we were both unemployed, we decided we wanted to do this amazing swim adventure. And at the same time, my wife now and then girlfriend had lost 20 kilograms following this new diet. And the diet happened to be the Tim Noakes diet. And Tim Noakes is South Africa's most famous sports scientist. And all of a sudden I saw there was great opportunity there. There was this huge sport event that I was planning. There was a famous sports scientist who had just come out with an amazing diet, and the diet had shown me that it worked. So I saw instantly that the diet he was promoting, which was a low-carb, high-fat diet, showed great results and changed the life of someone really close to me. So basically, I decided I was going to try and I just decided I'm going to go and get involved, and it looked like an area with loads of possibility. So that was when my interest started. I don't know if you want me to tell you how the whole book came together.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Like get into the details, because it's funny how these things come about.
Yeah. So the detail was that basically we decided that we were going to do this swim, and we needed to raise finance for the swim. And being an accountant, I didn't really want to go and just pitch for a big sponsorship. What I wanted to do was get an annuity income. And so we approached a charity we approached a guy called David Greer, and David Greer runs a charity. And basically we said to him, listen, we know that you've kayaked from Mozambique to Madagascar, and that was the swim that we were going to do. And we said, okay, if you've kayaked, like, can you help us and tell us how to do it? And he said, cool, well, if you guys do the swim in aid of my charity, we'll actually provide you with both support, and we'll try to help you organize the whole event. And that was when, yeah, exactly. So we thought, great, but we don't know anything about raising money for charity. So let's put together some kind of business model where we can derive annuity income for this book. So I said to my friend, well, I'm a chef. I've just seen my girlfriend lose 20 kilograms on the Tim Noakes diet. Tim is a famous sports scientist. Maybe we should eat this diet while we're training for the swim, and then we can write a cookbook on all of the food we ate while we were training, and maybe people will buy it. And so one thing led to another, and I eventually ended up meeting Tim Noakes for coffee with Sally Ann, the nutritionist. And just so it turns out, Sally Ann, who we asked for help to get the deal together, was used to treat patients of my dad. My dad's a doctor in Cape Town. So it was this kind of, Cape Town's a fishing village. If you ever come here, you'll see everyone. And so anyway, next thing I knew, I was sitting at a meeting with David and Sally and Prof, and everyone was quite keen to be involved in this book. And then so we wrote the book. And Tim was actually going to just write the foreword for the book. I was going to write all the recipes, and then Sally was going to write a bit of the diet. And we decided we were going to write it it was going to take us a month to write, because we wanted the book to be out before Christmas, and it was July at the time. So we actually had to write the book, and eventually it got to a point where we had 1 week to get the entire book financed, and we were trying to look for sponsorship to get the book published. We wanted to self-publish it, and so we could get all the money donated to charity, and we just couldn't actually put it together. So I took the file to a publisher, and I said, look, we want this book out before Christmas. Can you do it? And they said, and because Tim Noakes was like so famous at the time, he'd been punting diet for 2 years, and everyone was saying, Tim Noakes has lost his mind. But it was quite a huge problem. This publisher heard that we were sitting on this Tim Noakes diet cookbook, and they said, cool, we'll publish it for you. And that was after about 5 other publishers had turned us down. They said that they could do it, but they would only be able to get it out in about 12 months or 8 months. So these publishers took a massive risk, and they also agreed to donate the R5 per book to charity. So anyway, fast forward 2 years, and we've sold 200,000 copies, and we managed to we managed to donate we managed to raise a whole lot of money for the charity, which is called Operation Smile, and it provides free corrective surgery to children with cleft lips. Anyway, so that's how the book came about. And like I said earlier, Prof was going to write just the foreword, and obviously got carried away and ended up writing a 25,000 word essay.
And then you had to break it down.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. It is. It's always fascinating, these things. And it's absolutely incredible the amount that you've sold there, 200,000 books. And that's just in South Africa mostly. And today is, as I said earlier, is the UK release date. There is no US release date as of yet. I think there's still a few things to work on in terms of getting it out there. But for those in the UK and for those probably in America, you could still order it from the UK site if you wanted to get an early copy and just get it shipped over via Amazon to the US. If you wanted to do that, Amazon tend to be kind of good at those sort of things. It'll probably be in the region of $10, $15, but you'll get the book, which is the main thing. And for those that don't know, the diet you prescribe is essentially a low carb, high fat diet, which is what we prescribe mostly. But the one thing is that you call it a Banting diet in South Africa. So tell me a little bit about Banting and why it's called Banting.
Okay, so it's kind of embarrassing. So Tim wrote this big scientific essay, and he wrote the whole diet on he referred to it in a few names. He called it the Tim Noakes diet. He called it and he called it LCHF, and he also just called it the diet. And when we were putting the book together, we wanted it to be really appealing, and we wanted it to be fun and cool and create something that people would talk about. And he wrote this story in the book about William Banting. He's an old English undertaker in the late 1800s. And
in my neck of the woods, yeah.
And he was one of the original, one of the first people on earth to write a diet book. And his book was called The Letter on Corpulence. So in the olden days, and it was a bestseller. I think he sold like 15,000 copies, and in the late 1800s, it's quite a lot. And even until the late 30s and late 20s, when people were on a diet, they used to say, "I'm Banting," or "I'm on the Banting diet," and the Banting diet became basic treatment for obesity and type 2 diabetes. So when I read this story, it made a bit of an impression. And then the editor who was putting the book together read over Prof's essay, and it sort of said LCHF and the Tim Noakes diet, and he said, "Listen, we need a cool name. We need something that's going to work." So then anyway, we looked back through the manuscript, and I said, "Well, why don't we call it Banting? Because you can use Banting as a verb. You can use it as a noun. I'm Banting. Do you bant?" Which is quite a common question in Cape Town. Those who bant best. So then we just ran a find and replace through the text and made sure the grammar made sense, and we launched it as the Banting diet. So LCHF and Banting are for the most part the same thing. I think what differentiates Banting is that in Cape Town we wrote it with the real meal revolution. So we're trying to put special emphasis on people eating real food and learning to cook and learning to love food again. Because the diet industry, and I hate calling it an industry, is so focused on cutting fat, and no one actually concentrates on eating real food. So that's our real message. Banting is about eating low carb, high fat, but eating real delicious food.
Absolutely, and as a chef, you've provided the reader with some fantastic recipes that are simple and delicious.
Yeah.
What's your favourite?
There are a few in there. My favorite, to be honest, I like big, strong flavors. So there's a dish in there which is cabanossi, calamari, and olives, which is really great. It's just a pan-fried olives, calamari, and cabanossi. There's a dish in there which we made up while we were shooting the book. And in Cape Town, there's a curry called butter chicken. I'm sure you've heard of butter chicken.
Yeah.
So everyone in Cape Town eats quite a lot of butter chicken. And I had leftover butter and these pieces of chicken and a pack of mushrooms from another dish that we were shooting. And we were one recipe short because I deleted a recipe while we were testing it. And so I threw all this stuff in a pan, and I threw cream over it, and then I just put masses of blocks of butter in it, and I threw it in the oven and roasted it. And as we took it out, it just looked so beautiful. We photographed it immediately, and it went into the book. And we were all sitting there calling it butter chicken because there was so much butter in it. But because it's not actually butter chicken, we named it not butter chicken, because it's not butter chicken, but it is butter chicken. So that's another one of my favorites, just because of the story.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant. Nice, Jonno. Cool. And as you're kind of saying there before as well, Banting's very big in Cape Town itself and throughout South Africa. And there's lots and lots of cafes that are popping up with Banting specific menus. So what's that like in Cape Town itself? Kind of what's the vibe like?
It's bizarre. So there were a few Banting restaurants that opened up. I think one of them closed down, but the rest are all still going. But what fascinates me is the menus. So the Banting restaurants are great. It's a lot of paleo because some people bring their friends and then they want something slightly carb rich. So they'll have a sweet potato and butter or some butternut squash. But what is amazing is you can go into any restaurant in Cape Town at the moment and order a Banting restaurant, a Banting version of whatever you're having. So you can say, I'll have the bacon and cheeseburger, but can I have it Banting, please? And they'll bring it with vegetables instead of chips and without a roll. It's
amazing.
And 2 years ago, if you asked for that in a restaurant, people would look at you like, you were one of those special needs customers. And nowadays it's become common knowledge in Cape Town that carbohydrates are bad, gluten is the devil, and if you want to live healthily, you don't eat the raw. So that's actually, it's amazing. It's one of the few places in the world you can go and order gluten-free and you won't get a funny look.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. But that's fantastic, and it's going to be interesting to see kind of what impact that has perhaps on the health statistics within Cape Town itself, and then also kind of its knock-on effect on the rest of the world as well. Because Sweden is kind of in a bit of a similar position in that there's a really big LCHF community there, not quite the same here in the UK. Of course, kind of paleo is probably the most prominent one over in America. But seeing those two, you guys down in South Africa and Sweden, seeing them develop and kind of seeing if their health statistics kind of go the way that we think that they should. And if they do, then it's like, well, guys, you know, what else do you need to convince you?
Yeah, absolutely. And Cape Town is actually a very health conscious place. I mean, we grew up here, so we don't realize it as much, but Cape Town, do you know that you get better insurance rates if you live in Cape Town than if you live in Johannesburg?
Oh, really? Right.
There's a special plan. It's called the Coastal Core, because people know, you know, if you live in Cape Town or by the sea, you just live a healthier lifestyle. And Cape Town's amazing. There's a mountain slap bang in the middle. So trail running and endurance exercise is huge here. And I think even amongst the obese population, but also amongst the healthy sort of exercise population, Banting's just taken off. So it's kind of ticked a lot of boxes. And I can understand why it's taken over here. It's also Tim Noakes' hometown. So everyone likes Tim Noakes. He's kind of the local hero here.
Yeah, homegrown talent, so to speak. As I was kind of saying at the beginning as well, there's a lot of controversy over this in South Africa. There's been a lot of debate on TV, I know, and radio and in the newspapers and everything like that. So what is it like handling that? Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, I'm the innocent bystander. I'm just you know, Tim is the one with the big opinion, and even though I back his opinion, you know, and I believe everything that we stand for, I haven't actually taken a lot of flack because I'm just the chef. In fact, everyone thinks that I work for Tim, which is great. But it's been very interesting, and I think he's taken a tough time because it's challenged the beliefs of every single dietitian and medical professional in the country. And, you know, what's very interesting is how the tide has changed. 3 years ago, everyone was up in arms, and now there are so many testimonials. And so, I mean, we sent out an email about a month ago and asked people for their testimonials to use as evidence in this trial, because Tim's been taken to the Health Professions Council of South Africa. And we got 1,200 testimonials back within 24 hours. And they are not like, I lost 2 kilograms and my blood sugar went down. It's, you know, people who've lost 40 kilograms, they reversed their type 2 diabetes, they don't take medication anymore. And that doesn't happen. Type 2 diabetes is an incurable disease. And these people are being cured. So, you know, there are a lot of doctors who can't actually argue anymore. So 2 years ago, it was very difficult. And now the tide's changing completely. And it feels as though in the well-educated areas that there are almost more people pro-Banting than there are people against Banting. So you wonder who's funding them.
Yeah, well, that's always the question, kind of, you know, where does their salary come from, essentially, and what bonuses are they getting as well, which is always very interesting. With Professor Tim Noakes and Sally Ann Creed and yourself, what's kind of the next step from here? Because I believe there is another book on the horizon.
Yeah. So it's a great day today, because in England the Real Meal Revolution launches internationally, and locally in our warehouse we just received the shipment for the next Real Meal Revolution, which is called Raising Superheroes. And what happens when you launch a book that flips conventional wisdom on its head? You get an uprising from the public, but you also get a lot of questions. And one of the questions that we got the most was, if this is the right way to feed ourselves and we've been doing it wrong, then what are we supposed to feed our children? And the public has been demanding a kids version of Real Meal Revolution for 2 years. And the honest truth was, at the time, we didn't actually know. We didn't, because all the kids' guidelines say you must eat fortified rice cereal, baby food, pureed apple, and all of this stuff. And so Tim actually hit the drawing board, and he went and did a whole lot of research. And we actually got in touch with a pediatric dietitian with 20 years of pediatric dietetics experience, and she specializes in low carb. And we actually had her consult on this book. So yeah, because when you mess with children's health, you don't
want to muck about.
Exactly. So anyway, and Prof did this amazing research and found that actually the processed food industry started off in the baby food industry. And he looked back at the history of formula and found that condensed milk that you get in a tin was originally a baby formula. So yeah, it's
unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't
how do they get away with this crap?
Yeah. And so now we've got this book, and there's another big revolutionary essay in the back, and we've broken it down into pregnant and breastfeeding, toddlers and weaning, and then sort of like young children, and then adolescents. And we've got advice and then recipes on every single category. So it's like the perfect guide for parents who believe in LCHF and want to raise their children. And what we found is that you don't necessarily have to put a kid on a ketogenic diet, but there's certainly no risk in doing so. But more importantly, you don't have to. You don't need to give your child any rice cereal or grains. The advice at the moment is you've got to give them gluten, when they're 6 months old. Otherwise, they become allergic to gluten. And like no one people said that. No one found that in a study. They just said, get them on the grains early. Get them nice and addictive.
Okay.
So this book, I think, is going to be even more controversial than the first one, which is good.
Yeah, it's always good for opening up a discussion.
Yeah,
let's say, isn't it? That's absolutely fantastic. That's obviously released in South Africa very, very soon.
Yeah, next Friday.
When was it, sorry, mate?
Next Friday it's coming out.
Next Friday. And then for the rest of the world, when will they expect it to be on bookshelves and online?
The rest of the world can expect Raising Superheroes between February and June next year. I think it'll be coming to the UK in February next year. And what I didn't tell you earlier, the Real Meal Revolution will be available in Australasia. I think it's actually already sold out in Australia. It launched about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
Sending another container over there, so hopefully there'll be more stock soon.
Incredible.
Great.
That is fantastic. It really is a runaway bestseller. It's absolutely incredible. You can't give them away fast enough. Absolutely incredible. Fantastic. Now, we do have a couple of questions from our followers, one of which is from Larry Diamond,
yes.
who asked, will the app be available worldwide? Is that going to be happening?
Yes, so the app at the moment, we've actually launched the app. It's in its beta phase, and it's available on Android, and it's called Bant. And then we're launching the Apple version's gone into Apple, but we're waiting for Tim Cook and Johnny to pass it, and basically
give it a seal of approval.
Yeah, exactly. And once it goes live, it'll be available internationally. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, at the moment, it's just pretty basic. It's just a meal tracker, and we've got a little pie chart that tells you what your macronutrient breakdown is. So how many, what percent of your calories came from carbs, protein, and fat. And there are about 8,000 data points with 8,000 ingredients and recipes in there that you can add. So you won't walk into a shop and not be able to add anything into your meal tracker. But it's
should be able to find it or something similar. Cool. Yeah. And then also he asks, are you becoming the corporate wellness company for Virgin as well? I don't know how Larry knows all this, but is that happening?
Are we becoming a corporate wellness company? Is that the question?
No. Are you becoming the corporate wellness company for Virgin?
For Virgin?
Well, he's wondering.
If he knows anyone at Virgin I could speak to,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I've got I mean, we basically, so we started off in publishing, and look, it started off as just a whole bunch of authors getting together, and I've actually taken the brand into the digital space. So our focus now is actually on running the digital side. So we want to develop much more comprehensive tools, allow people to track their carb count, measure their blood sugar, and actually monitor their performance on the diet. Because it does great things. It helps people monitor their own performance, but it also provides the Noakes Foundation with fantastic data for research. So we pushing hard into the digital space, and a partnership with Virgin would definitely help us along our way. Yeah.
So anybody watching at Virgin, either in the UK or in South Africa, hit out Jonno.
On Facebook, come and find me, please.
Excellent, superb, absolutely fantastic. And Larry does say as well, I'll tell you this, and if so, do you need any wellness coaches to help out with that? So if you do manage to get a contract with Virgin, Jonno, Larry's going to be first on your list of applicants for becoming a wellness coach. So that's cool. Yeah. Fantastic. As you say, you're going to kind of be going into the bit more the digital space, but is there anything else that kind of the Real Meal Revolution is going to be getting involved in, or anything else that's coming up?
So what we are doing at the moment is, so we've become a publishing company. We're self-publishing the next book called Raising Superheroes, and the digital space. We run an online program at the moment through our website at realmealrevolution.com. And next we're going to be helping supermarkets with merchandising healthy food. So we're pushing the concept that you should be having real food and a real day of eating. So we're going to be helping supermarkets compile recipe packs and shopping baskets that are pro Banting. We don't really want to go into the food product space. It's not really an interest in, and I think if you're pushing real food, you can't say
you can't come out with something
because it's not real, but eat our food with a barcode because it's more real than that food. So yeah, we want to stay out of food and stay in education. I think what we really want to do is cure obesity with information and technology. That's where we stand. So we just look for information and as much technology as possible. Yeah.
That's brilliant, and giving people the tools that they need to kind of navigate modern society that's kind of so hell-bent on making us unhealthy, which is absolutely insane. But hopefully technology will help us prevail in this crazy world that we live in. Hopefully you guys can give us the tools for that, including the Banting app, which again, for folks who weren't listening earlier, search Bant in the Android store, and then hopefully soon in the Apple store as well. Yeah. Fantastic. Cool. Well, again, for those that wants to check out the book in the UK on Amazon, if you go to smashthefat.com/RMR UK, that'll take you straight through to the Amazon page. And if you buy it, help support the show at the same time. Make sure you go to the website, realmealrevolution.com, where there's lots of tools and links to other things, including social media on Facebook and Twitter. And if you want to specifically follow Jonno on Twitter and stalk him, you can go to twitter.com/Jonno Proudfoot, and that's Jonno with 2 N's. You can spell it with 1 N, I guess.
Yeah, that would be lazy.
yeah, wouldn't it? Come on. Was there anywhere else that you wanted to point people to, Jonno?
No, that's perfect. I think if you could follow Tim at Prof Tim Noakes, he tweets for the Noakes Foundation, and he is also looking for funding to do some obesity research, particularly in the low carb, high fat sphere. That would be great. So his site is thenoakesfoundation.org. And we work in a close partnership. But apart from that, you've said it all. I'm really grateful for you having me on your show. It's been great. No problem, Jonno. Hopefully, the Real Meal Revolution is also going to take the UK by storm. And then, we can start moving things forward in trying to actually create a solution instead of just kind of muddying the waters and the problem getting worse. Absolutely. Yeah, Sam, thanks for helping us smash the fat. You know it.
And that reminds me, because I forgot in my last interview, there's only one more thing to do, and that's to hear a smash it out from Jonno Proudfoot all the way in Cape Town. So on the count of 3, I want you to shout "smash it out" to the camera.
Okay. Give me the countdown.
So 1, 2, 3.
Smash it out.
That's awesome. It's good with the echo as well. That's also. Hopefully, I didn't disturb any of your colleagues in the office.
Yeah, they've all run home. Yeah.
Well, they have now. They have now. Fantastic. Again, thank you so much, Jonno. Everybody, check out the Real Meal Revolution. Go to realmealrevolution.com, and you can go to all of the links there. Anyway, Jonno, thanks again, mate, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Cheers, man. Bye.